Hello, it's Ankita. Welcome to another video. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to review The Godfather by Mario Puzo. If you watched my previous video, which was a reading session, you know that I was reading The Godfather. I finished it and I absolutely loved it. The more I think about this book, the better it keeps getting. And that is the first sign of it being a really good book for me. I consider this a masterpiece. I gave it a strong 5-star rating, and I understand why this is a classic. Although I would say not all classics are always a 5-star read for me. This one, without a doubt, was a 5-star read. It was just beyond amazing. After I finished reading this book, I had that book high. I think the last time I was so happy, was so freaking excited to have read a book, was when I read Elizabeth Gaskell's North and South. I absolutely loved it. I think the excitement that follows after reading a book, a really good book, is kind of mingled with a bit of surprise that, oh my goodness, this book was out there in the world. It was everywhere and I never picked it up and I never read it. If I would have read this ages ago, I think by now I would have read this book at least twice or thrice. I am big on rereading, and I definitely intend to reread this book. Now, before I talk about this book, or let's say before I talk more about this book, I want to let you know that I have never watched the movie. Let me put this down. It's just uncomfortable to hold it this way. So I've never watched the movie. Will I ever watch it? I'm a bit conflicted. Here is what happens when I watch a movie that's based on a book, is that I first read the book and then I watch the movie. And over the years, I tend to remember more of the movie than I do the book. And most of the times the movies are just so different than the book that I really wish that I rather remember the events in the book versus that in the movie or the television series. It's really weird, but then at the same time, a part of me does want to see all these characters on screen. Anyway, enough about that. So I might watch the movie, but that's gonna be after I read the next 2 books in the series. Now, even though I say there are 2 more books in the series, it's in no way an incomplete book. You can read this as a whole. If I'm not wrong, Mario Puzo actually wrote the second book a decade after he published this. Really, there's no need for you to fear that, oh, you'll have to read 3 books in order to really complete the story. No, this book in itself is really wholesome. In this book, we follow Don Corleone. He is, as you can tell from his title, Don, he is the mafia boss. He's the mob boss. He's a leader of a criminal organization. It's his story. We follow him as well as his family members, his 3 sons, a daughter. We follow other people who are connected to his family, who are part of his criminal organization. If you have watched my other videos or book recommendations, you know that I really like a book which has strong characters, a really good, well-built character, well-developed character. An amazing character transformation is what really draws me into the book, or rather makes the book stay with me forever. And this book definitely has that. Mario Puzo, through the characters in this book, shows us the intricacies of how the criminal organizations work, or rather these Italian mafia, or rather how the Italian mafia back in the 1930s, 1940s used to work. This is set in the 1940s. And it is really baffling how these people, these characters have such, they're so smart, but they use their brains to do everything that could possibly be crooked and evil in every sense. They are just not what you would call good people, because it is a criminal organization. There are all sorts of crimes, but then they still have values. Like the Don Corleone still has values, which made this such a funny read, as well as thrilling and intriguing. Like, which really makes you wonder what kind of a person Don Corleone is, that he was okay with so many illegal things, but then there's this one illegal that he does not associate with. It is just so funny. It is baffling. It is chilling how easily these people take care of business, take care of problems. They are criminals, so you can imagine how they do that. It is just insane. This book, it was interesting right from the start. Anyway, so we follow Don Corleone in this book. We are introduced to his family. We are introduced to everyone who he's close with, who he does business with, who is significant to the story, obviously. And then a big incident takes place. The Corleone family goes through a really tough time in their illegal business. And you see a character who, at the beginning, you would have never thought that character would rise or would, kind of take over the family. And there's this huge character transformation, which I absolutely loved. And it was so much fun to read this. I know I'm using this word fun very loosely, but honestly, this was so funny to me. It was fascinating because no one, I'm pretty sure you cannot associate any of these characters with the people in your lives, because they are so, they just do all sorts of wrong things. But it's fascinating. It's really a glimpse into the underworld, into Italian mafia, American Italian mafia. Really, really interesting, really good fiction. I, dear to God, hope none of this was true, although we do know a little bit about the American Italian mafia, notorious for all sorts of criminal activities. Anyway, this book, brilliant. I think this video was really a stream of consciousness. I didn't really have any points jotted down for this video, which I usually do because it just makes editing so much better, and I want there to be a certain flow when it comes to reviewing a book or talking about a book on my channel. For this one, I honestly didn't have one, so I hope this video wasn't all over the place. I'm trying to think if I left out anything. One of my friends mentioned that she heard somewhere that this book is a classic because the story is very Shakespearean. I do believe that's true. Book is all about avenging, and it's all about staying in power. It's all about favors, strange favors. Let me just say strange favors, where the Don has a really, he has something in him. He definitely has that leadership quality in him, that kind of a charismatic personality where he has that presence, and he's undoubtedly very, capable of running a criminal organization. Amazing. Just beyond words. To highly recommend this. Like I said, this is one of the best books I've read since I read Elizabeth Gaskell's North and South, which was, I think I read that in late summer last year. So it has been months since I came across a really good book. So I would highly recommend The Godfather. I haven't watched the movie, so I cannot compare it to the movie. I don't know what your experience would be like if you have already watched the movie and then you pick up the book. But if you haven't watched the movie, I would highly recommend the book. It's so entertaining, so fascinating, baffling. It will leave you with a feeling like you have read good fiction, if that makes sense. So I would really like to know if you have watched the movie or read the book. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I'll see you next time. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.